As a reminder, if you want to stop and come back to this, that's fine. Just remember where we are. So let's go ahead and talk about the rubric, or I'm sorry, the syllabus really briefly. Not too briefly because it'll take about 10 minutes. Obviously, like I said, this is a living document. Even the one that I posted on Canvas today is already out of date because I had to change about three things. I will leave it to you to look at all this information. Obviously, Remind has to change. I'm not sure how that works with Canvas right now. Who knows where my office is since there is no office right now. My office hours, email me, schedule an appointment if there's like a sit down thing. Otherwise, just email me when you have questions. I think you found over the summer that I'm pretty quick to respond. I don't like email stacking up personally. Course objectives. So as we've talked about, this is a writing course. This is the big part of it is writing and designing, looking at composing, looking at how to use rhetorical strategies to compose really interesting pieces as well as meaningful ones. Looking at how to do analysis not only of rhetoric but also of literature. We're looking at how to incorporate all the things that you're seeing in these professional models. How do I incorporate them in my own writing? And then also, how do I incorporate research? Because that's a big, really important thing that we really have to start doing really from now on. For the rest of your life, you have to incorporate research. How do we defend our choices, whether those are rhetorical or not? And how do we apply? You could see here, like, how do we apply ideas like gender and identity? How do we apply rhetoric to those? How do we apply rhetoric to course projects? That's the big questions that we'll look at. Course requirements. So these are the things that are going to be stacked up just first semester. Again, few of these are subject to change, but not most of them. Your summer reading essay, you already know about that. Summer reading presentation. Hopefully, you've got that ready to go and you're ready to turn that in or ready to present it in the next few days. Discussion and writing assignments. So obviously that's going to look a little different this year, but we will have a variety of kind of short writes. And depending on how the days break out, I might give you more short writing than I'm kind of used to giving. But all of those will be targeted to really get us to talk to each other because that's the big part that's really difficult this year. Then we get to the open essay. That's our first major essay that I will have taught you something before we get to it. So that's our first, what I would say, real stakes essay. Midterm, honestly, I might scratch the midterm or we might look at it very differently than I have in the past. We're kind of seeing about how is time looking for this course. The poetry analysis essay, so we will definitely have a poetry unit. I am not positive that we will have an essay. If we get really squeezed for time, this is the essay that will pop out. And it's kind of set to be the second major essay that we do. So we'll still have a poetry unit no matter what. And I guarantee you we will at least do something like research and outline for the poetry essay. But the writing, I'm not sure what's going to happen with that right now. American definition essay, definitely a keeper, and comes after the poetry essay. We'll get into a lot of good discussion about America. Reading and discussing an American novel. So we, as a community of AP language students, so all three courses, will pick one of three novels that I've selected, and hopefully that all kind of works out that we get books and all that stuff. And obviously, I'm eyeing that very carefully. So who knows? We might be selecting that book very early. Worst case scenario is we select a book and then I can't get it to everybody's hands and we have to pick something else. But that's something I'm eyeing very carefully that's subject to move around a little bit. That'll take us till about Thanksgiving. And after Thanksgiving, we'll come back and we'll work on this thing called the family essay. And then we have this little wrinkle here. Critical literacy narrative is a new assignment from SLU. There was a short essay there already, so I'm kind of building on that, and that will get us to our final and our final portfolio. And kind of time and how this is built will impact what these two things look like. Worst case scenario, we get rid of the portfolio, which I think is a really kind of easy assignment to nicely package everything. So I don't want to do that, but that's a possibility. Let's talk about grades. So obviously, SLU and Afton use the exact same scoring guide for the traditional class, which is A minus, B plus, B minus. So just be aware of that. When I put in my grades to Tyler, it automatically turns it to an A or an A minus. The difference is in Afton, you get that bump. I actually never see that bump for taking an AP course. So what I see is your raw grade, and your raw grade is what I give to SLU. So if you are taking the 1818 credit and you get an 89, then that's a B plus, and I put 89 into SLU. Actually, I might not be that mean, but you get the gist there. This is what SLU gets, even though your GPA is going to be up here, right, for Afton. What I would really caution you against and be kind of aware of when you're thinking about purchasing a course is if you're in this class because you are challenging yourself, but you are very afraid that you're going to not get a B, then you might not want to pay for this class because you definitely don't want to start your college career off down here. Now, there are some protections for that. And definitely, if you're that worried, then I would want to talk to you and have a lot of good interventions well before this becomes the case scenario. But it's happened in the past, so don't want you to waste your parents' money. Big policy in this class is I expect that you're going to do revisions. I expect that everyone will need to do a revision in first semester. Don't be surprised if you have to do 4 revisions for 4 different essays. It's probably going to happen that you have to do at least 1 revision. And so what does that mean? I have to. Well, if you score under an 80 on any essay, my expectation is we're going to have a meeting about it. You're going to have listen to my feedback. We're going to talk about it, and you're going to do a revision to bump that grade up above an 80. So that's a really important goal, one that I really stick to, and one that I'll give you some clear deadlines of like, here's when that next one is due, especially this year where time is going to be so weird and so different. I'm going to give us some really clear targets. Some essays, like this just happens. So if you're writing an essay and I've given like, this is the objective that we need to hit in this essay, and you don't hit that objective, then you're going to get a 50%. That's just, I don't expect anyone in the class to score a 50 on an essay. And if you do, then we have kind of a different problem. So what that 50% means is like your writing might actually be much better than that, but you've missed the central criteria. So you get a code, and that code is a 50. Obviously, you're going to do a rewrite on it anyway. I have your kind of real grade stashed somewhere so I can make some comparisons. You're going to make sure you hit that objective, and that goes into your grade as your real grade. Another possibility, and it's actually pretty typical, is as we're working with citation and we're using a new method to do citation called footnotes, that a lot of people forget or don't do it correctly, or they goof and they cite a source like Wikipedia, and it's the 3rd time I've told you. And in that instance, I'm going to give you a 1. Now, 1 is not because I am so mean. I'm going to give you a 1% on a 100-point assignment. It just is standing there as an incomplete because Tyler, an incomplete doesn't look quite right. So this is a 1, and it's again a code. You can actually have a fairly good grade and end up getting a 1 because your citation is really, really poor. Again, something pretty easy to fix, and we will have a conversation about it. I don't expect anyone to keep a 1 by the end of the semester. So emailing and office hours, obviously, this is the major way that I expect that you are going to talk to me this year is by email. Perhaps by remind, the Problem with email is it lags, right? So we both have to be actively looking at our email if we're going to have a conversation. And even then, it takes about 20 minutes to have a decent conversation, and you're sending about 15 emails. The positive of Remind is we're texting, so that moves much, much faster. Of course, we have other ways to communicate. You can literally call my phone on an app that you don't need my phone number to call my phone anymore. So we can have phone conferences. We can have a Google Meet conference. I prefer to do grades and conferences on Meet so we can actually see each other. I think you're going to find that seeing each other when we talk is really, really important this year, where we are not going to see each other any other way than through that computer. So yeah, I told you it's a living document already. I need to change that from years ago. I expect that you're going to participate. I expect that you're going to come in and be interested and be engaged. And, you know, I'm somebody who's very research based in my practice. So one of the things I'm going to do is try not to waste your time. So if we're together, we want to be together with a purpose. We want to be fully present. And when we create some norms, we're really going to create some norms that are about how do we be present if we're all together online. When I give you readings, I want to do readings, you know, a little differently this year. So I do expect that you're going to look at the text. I also expect that I'm going to do some read alouds. There's actually some really good research on why read alouds are so important. It kind of creates a bond. And especially with the early essays that we're going to look at, I feel like I've really kind of gotten to know these essays and how they should sound. But it's going to sound a little different. So I'm going to probably give you prep work before we get to class so that when we talk about it, you've heard it and responded to it in some way. And then we can have, you know, a conversation about it. Technology, man, technology is the name of the game this year. So, you know, just thinking about how you are using things, thinking about being present in the moment. Again, I promise I'm going to really double check and triple check all the times that we are going to be together. Am I wasting your time or not? I'm probably not going to do like as many Simpsons videos as I've done in the past because they will feel like a waste of time if we're all together watching a video. That's something you can do on your own if I feel like it's that important. Likewise, it's really going to be a waste of time if you're in the middle of a discussion and you're hiding your cell phone behind the computer so I can't see it, right? Like, you just need to think about how to be present and how all those temptations, they are so normal, how to get rid of them and how to stay engaged. That's something that we really want to think about with technology this year. Just thinking about basic criteria of what is it to be participating, you know, being prepared when I give you readings, being prepared to have something to discuss, whether that discussion is, you know, all of us together in a digital space, or if that discussion is happening on Canvas or on a voice thread or whatever else I throw your way. Making sure that you're prepared with things to say, you know, doing that kind of thinking. And we're going to do this thing called retrieval practice a lot more than I'm used to this year, where I'm asking you to recall something that we just talked about. And it's okay if you get it wrong. In fact, I'm going to try to make it really okay to be wrong in this class a lot. Being wrong just means that we have an opportunity to learn. But if you haven't done anything and then you're wrong, then you're probably not going to learn much at the end of that result. You know, do at least the minimum. I think that's one of those things. If we're doing group work, if we're doing some of those things, you know, I can't even when we come together be close enough to you when we do something like group work to be interactive, right? I can't do the thing that I love most, which is sit next to 3 or 4 students and have a conversation, because that proximity is not going to happen. So we're going to try to find ways to do breakout sessions and small groups and all that good stuff where you're kind of interacting with me. But if I leave everybody else and I'm talking to one group, then I really expect that you're doing the work that I'm giving you. Turning assignments in on time. you know what? If you have a reason why you can't turn something in on time, I would love to know it. I need that. And what happens when you don't turn stuff in on time is one, it really puts everything behind. So it puts stress on you, it puts stress on me, it can potentially put stress on parents. And if I know that, I have about 60 students in AP this year. So if I know that, the boy named Sue's paper isn't here, and he's going to get it to me on Wednesday because, his dog died and it was really tough for him, then I can put him at the bottom of the stack and not have to worry about him. And I could check on Thursday and make sure that it's there. And then we're copacetic. But if I don't know, and then I come across his name and I'm ready to do my grading, then it kind of jams up all the rest of the work. And then, we have an unspoken problem. And it's even harder for me to talk to you guys about problems this year because I can't approach you in class while everybody else is working and try to figure stuff out. So we just have to really kind of rethink some of those things. We'll talk a little bit about the way that Canvas is structured. Like I give a window, so it's going to block you. It's going to say you can't turn stuff in after a certain date, which means you're going to have to turn it in a different way, and you're going to receive your grade kind of in the same way. But it's really going to put it to the forefront. It's going to be very hard to sneak something in a little late this year. So we can talk about like when is a good time for me to put, like, when do we submit? Maybe it's not 11:59 at night, but we definitely want to have some of those conversations and really understand, well, here's when late is and here's when not late is. Again, concerns. I really need you guys to self-advocate more than any other class has ever had to do before. So I use that example of like, somebody's dog died because it's happened. And they didn't tell me and they reacted to it in a way that I wouldn't. And they were obviously upset, and then time passed and then things didn't get done. And then I hear about it all after the fact, and I really can't do much except say like, well, I'm sorry. But if I had known that, then we could have taken some things and I could have taken the burden of that, paper being due immediately off of her plate. Some of those things kind of change, right? Let's be very realistic. We are in a situation where somebody in your family might get sick, might be a real bad situation, and you've got to tell me. You can't carry that alone. I understand that your reaction might not be that I want to go to this voice off my computer that talks to me every once in a while, but at least as your teacher, I need to know so I can make accommodations for you. If your internet goes out, if you're having technology problems, you got to let me know so I can respond to it and take some of that burden away from you. Let me be the one who kind of figures stuff out, and then we can come up with a plan. Okay. So key here, as concerns arise, please let me know. I can't really help you if you wait until the end of the semester. A little bit of boilerplate stuff here. The English department assessment of submission of work. So SLU will get some work from you guys to make sure that we're all doing our job. Okay. Again, there are some things that I have to comply with SLU about. Academic integrity. I've really never had anybody blatantly try to plagiarize in this course, but of course we're going to have to talk about what plagiarism is and what that means for us. Honestly, the way that we get to know our writing, like I'm pretty good at catching somebody who tries to put something off on me. But like I said, that's really never happened in the 6 years that I've been teaching AP courses. It usually happens in some other course where, students don't understand how complex writing is and how easy it is for me to catch it. Title IX, that's all university stuff that you don't need to worry about. Student Success Center. Also, things you don't really need to worry about. Although you should know that there are always student success centers on every single college campus, and they are available for a variety of different reasons. Disability services and academic accommodations is another college thing. So is the writing center, um, and just that the course content really is the last thing to talk about. Everything in this curriculum has been okayed by somebody. So even a book like Lincoln and the Bardo that has, some sexually explicit content, that was okayed by the Board of Education. They paid for all the books. So if you are somebody who's like a little extra sensitive and you want to let me know some of those things beforehand, we will obviously talk about that. I think the other thing to know is that you can't really talk about America and American history and American literature without politics. It's an impossibility. So there are times where we're going to get political, and you have to trust me to frame those conversations as here's how we get political in a way where we don't hate each other at the end of the class. Just like here's how we need to think about things now. And some of those things as they bubble up. One of the things I really think about is there are times where you're going to be uncomfortable in this class. There's a difference between feeling threatened or feeling abused and feeling uncomfortable, right? Uncomfortable means that you don't like the thinking that's happening. But oftentimes, when we don't like the thinking that's happening, if we engage with it and understand why it's happening, then we can at least appreciate it, if not be changed and moved by it. So those are some of the outcomes that can happen if you're really, engaged in that kind of thinking. So we want to be aware of that as it's coming.